All right, in 5, 4, 3,
Cheap flights.
Cornbread.
How's it going, everyone? This is Frank Cavone, the Cheap Flights and Cornbread podcast.
How's it going, everyone? My name is Frank Cavone, and we are here live with the Cheap Flights and Cornbread podcast. I am here with my main man, Gabe Stallman of Ampevene. How have you been, man?
I've been good.
Good, man. Thank you so much for coming on. It's I would say usually it's been a while, but it hasn't been a while. I actually just saw you recently at the Listen Up Awards.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was I love that you're doing that.
Yeah, man. Sorry about this, guys. You're now live here on Facebook. Yeah, dude. Thank you again so much for coming on. It's an honor to have you here. I've known you since about 2018, 2019. First met you guys. I was trying to think this the other day. I think maybe it was either a Putnam Place show, or I think I just straight up asked to interview you guys for something when we were just starting Mirth Films.
I don't remember how we first met. I remember you were friends with my friend from Plattsburgh too.
Yeah. Who was that?
Emma.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yep. Plattsburgh, great place. We got a lot to talk about. All Ampevene. Ampevene has some news to share today. One of those things being their performance coming up at Lark Hall with Vaporize this Friday. One of the most beautiful venues here we have in Albany for a smaller size room. I mean, you can't go wrong. Beautiful sound. You got Alec on the soundboard and Eddie Hoteling. So you got people who know what they're doing. Got a great lighting designer there, and Jen and Justin Miller just really know how to run a music venue, and they're new at it. And I mean, I'm so happy for them. But we have a lot to talk to you about. As all of you know, you can watch and listen to the Cheap Flights and Cornbread podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Facebook, and sometimes Twitch. We also will be vending this week at the Live at 5 concert series in Albany, New York. So if you want to come say hello, you want to come pick up some merch, some prints, we will be right next to the stage for Lita Ford and Candy Ambulance. Also, just want to thank everybody for coming out to the Listen Up Awards. It was a true honor doing that. I mean, I never thought in my million years why would I ever care about a award ceremony. But after working with the great people in Radio X, Art for Dad, Rob Schmiddix, shout out, we were like, you know what, let's try something new, let's try something fun, let's try something fresh. And while next year we probably will do something like this in January or February, just because everybody's out touring, we probably had like 7 people actually accept the awards out of 27, but we still had like 200 people there. And I'm not an event guy. I don't do events,
it was put together really well, man.
Thank you so much. And we were like, how is this going to go? How is this going to be perceived? And I was just really happy that the musicians spoke upon the event and it didn't come from us, because we were just there handing out plaques. The people voted. It was a voting process that started at the beginning of the nomination process. So we didn't even pick the nominations. You guys did. And I think it's just a great reflection of how our music scene is. Like, what are people going out for shows every single weekend? You know, who are they seeing? Who should be getting recognized that doesn't usually get recognized? And we could all name a few.
Yeah,
bands.
it's wild how many artists I don't know, and I go to shows every second.
Yeah, dude, I see you out at everything. You are somebody who supports local, and you being a local musician, aspiring to get to a higher place. And, you know, your music has it. I just got to say that. It's different from everything else. It's very reminiscent of Tool, of that just, I don't know what you would call, I wouldn't even call it nu metal, because it's so progressive. It almost has like that Mahavishnu, which you are a huge fan of.
I do love Mahavishnu, yeah.
But what does it mean to support a local musician? Like when you get down to the facts.
I mean, I just try to go see every show that I can. I've been saving money a little bit lately, so I haven't gone to as many shows as I'd like to. But man, just there's so much amazing music out. I mean, one show I couldn't get to, but I would have loved to. Tamberku on Saturday.
Oh,
They're incredible. Just every who else? I was just talking about Belle Skinner the other day. Do you know her?
No, I've never heard of her.
Oh my God, she's like a singer-songwriter, like very kind of like 60s like classic sound, and her voice. She opened for us a couple years ago, and I had seen her for the first time in like 2015 play with Sean Rao. She opened for him.
Oh, that's awesome.
It was at like some college like living room gig, and it was a bunch of St. Rose students, and somebody orchestrated like a whole, I don't know, 12-piece orchestra to stand behind her and like do violins and cellos and stuff while she played. Because she's awesome. I mean, there's just so much incredible music coming out of Albany that's like just as good as anywhere else. It's
100%.
amazing.
And it's good to have pride for, you know, all the bands that you go out and see all the time. And I don't know, I emphasize local so much now because after shooting concert photography, national acts, smaller acts, open mics, whatever, you know, like I get the best feeling from when I shoot when I'm at a local show. Mm-hmm. It's awesome. Your first time ever shooting a band like a Metallica, like of course, like for me, like I lost my mind.
Yeah.
Like, but at the same time, it's like when you do this, you know, 100, 150 shows a year, the local shows mean more to me because it's actually making an impact. This work that I feel that I'm doing, mm-hmm. and if I can help out somebody to get to that point, I mean, it's a team effort at that point. And you know, these guys need your support because, I mean, especially like through the pandemic, musicians got their ass kicked. Yeah. Let's be real here. I got my ass kicked. Anybody in the industry got their ass kicked, just because we're going through something in real life. But there is no other option like there is for maybe a state worker or something like that, where work is more consistent. You know, it doesn't require performing or being in front of other people. Mm-hmm. It was an adjustment period, but I think it bounced back so well. I don't know about you, but I feel like attendance at shows have been way higher across the board.
Attendance has been great. I think career-wise it was definitely a setback. We had a lot of momentum that we lost, which was rough. We're working with Loose Leaf now, if you know those guys.
Great people. Emily or
Emily is like our main contact, but we've been working with a couple different people from it.
Great people.
So that's awesome to be able to kind of jump back and really be working with them now. I also used the pandemic to take guitar lessons for myself again, which was awesome.
Nice.
Which I learned from this dude, Matt Hollenberg, who plays with he's in a band with one of the guys from Dillinger Escape Plan, and he's made music with Mike Patton from Faith No More and Mr. Bungle and stuff, and he's just like a psycho in the best way with just crazy playing stuff. So I got a lot of knowledge from him. So that was super helpful for pandemic. That's awesome, man. Passing the time, yeah.
Exactly, passing the time, making the best use of the time, and perfecting your craft.
Yeah.
I mean, and it had to have helped now.
Oh yeah, he taught me stuff about music I didn't even know existed. Wow. So I'm still working on all these exercises and stuff that he gave me.
And you guys are pretty progressive. I mean, it's not like, hey, I'm going to go learn from this guitar shop and, you know, learn Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
While there may be a fundamental in that in the grand scheme of things, I mean, having a great teacher to know what you like is really important.
I mean, this is a guy whose whole career is about, you know, pushing the boundaries and changing the way that music can sound and stuff. And so
keep it
to
weird.
be able, yeah, exactly. So to be able to learn from somebody who's been doing that, you know, a solid amount of time longer than I have, who's been playing with names of people that I've looked up to. He's plays with John Zorn. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
No, I've never heard of him.
The way I describe John Zorn is, a lot of viewers might want to hit me for this, but I think he's like what Frank Zappa wishes he was.
Oh, no way.
He's like a much more interesting, jagged, jazzy kind of Frank Zappa work ethic kind of guy.
Oh, nice.
And he just, I mean, he has really cool jazz music under a group called Electric Masada that has Mark Rebo in it, who played with like Tom Waits and stuff, and he's an incredible jazz guy. But then he's got everything from like surf rock to black metal and classical, and like he just does everything.
He's got an open ear.
And so the guy that I was learning from was one of his session guitar players for like his metal project. Actually, what's his name? Who's the organ guy? He plays with the Dead sometimes, but he plays with
Jeff Chemeki? Or?
No, he's not as like Dead connected.
Oh, Bruce Hornsby.
Nope. Let me think for a second. Oh man, that's gonna drive me crazy. I gotta look it up now.
Two of them are dead. So,
no,
but
he's
there's
not
one
dead.
more. There's one more who was in the Grateful Dead in 1995.
I think he's just jammed with them or something.
Oh, okay.
John Medeski.
Oh my
That's what I'm thinking
God!
of.
Yeah, MMW, man.
Yeah. So he's in a band with Medeski that plays with John Zorn.
Wow. Okay,
And,
that sold me already.
Yeah.
Nice.
So just incredible world of musicians to be able to kind of dip my toes in and learn from, and it's very cool.
Now going. Let's just take a deep dive quick.
Yeah.
Before we get to Ampevene here, and to kind of, I want to do it just because I want to understand how you got to where you are now in the sense of what your taste is. We before the podcast just talked about the Chili Peppers and other great '90s bands. Now, what would you say, like, caught your ear with like a Mahavishnu after? I don't know. What were you listening to before you were listening?
The Doorway.
Yeah. What led to the Doorway?
So, I mean, as a little kid, as a little kid, I was obsessed with like Hendrix and the Beatles because that's what my parents were listening to.
Yeah.
And then, as every 10-year-old in 2005, I fell in love with American Idiot by Green Day. And that was like the first.
You were listening to that on your school bus on the way to school.
Every day.
You're an American Idiot.
Yeah. So that was when I was like, that was the first album that like I bought for myself and like became obsessed with. And I was definitely like more of a music nerd than anybody else that I knew. And I was really just trying to like, I would ask like teachers to give me albums and I'd just like collect stuff on my iPod. Then I got really into Chili Peppers, who I still am a huge fan of, and just listening to all these interviews with them and the music that they talk about. And they were really kind of like, we're kind of a pop band in the eyes of the world, but like listen to underground punk and listen to jazz and listen to classical and listen to like all this weird stuff. And so through them, I found the Mars Volta, which at the time was the most unique music I had ever heard in my life.
Okay, yeah.
And that was like, I got to chase stuff that sounds like that. So that opened me to Dillinger Escape Plan.
Peppers almost, in a sense.
Yeah, they're kind of the root of everything. They kind of inspired me to want to spread the branches and find what to listen to.
That is fascinating to me because of how well-rounded they're what they listen to. Like Stevie Wonder, the Bad Brains. You got the Meters.
Yeah.
Very
it's
influenced by the
everybody.
Meters.
Yeah.
I mean, and now Mars Volta. I did not know that.
Yeah.
So
well,
you could have really went.
Flea's the bass player on the first Mars Volta album.
No
And
way.
then John plays guitar on like everything that they do. He was like their hired session guitarist for all their albums. So that was
Good hired gun.
Yeah, exactly.
So I guess side note before we get past the door here, and this is something I just need because you are a diehard Red Hot Chili Peppers fan.
100%.
I'm a diehard Metallica fan. There's a lot of people who do not like the albums from Load to everything to Death Magnetic, pretty much. And I get that, but I still like it because I'm a fan of the band. I try to support whatever I can, and there is some gems within anything,
Mm-hmm.
I personally, I don't know, like after maybe Danny California, an album after that this period of music now, I can't relate to it. Explain to me, like,
okay.
Do you like it?
Their last two albums I don't like.
Okay, so what is your feelings on it? And I guess, like I said, because I could be biased because I don't listen to them maybe as much as I should have.
Well, John Frusciante wasn't on them.
Okay. Makes sense.
So now you got to listen to their new album.
How is it?
It's great.
Is it?
It's John Frusciante's back.
Gotta check it out. Yeah, I saw that. I was really excited about that. This is his third comeback into the band?
Second comeback, third time in the band.
Third time in the band. Okay. Right, because he came back for Danny for that.
He was back in 90...
Stadium Arcadium?
7 or 8, yeah. That was the third album back with him.
Okay. Wow. Interesting.
I know way too many of the details, but...
And I love the Chili Peppers. I mean, listen to their aggressiveness in like late 80s. It's like amazing.
Yeah, it's like a different band.
Yeah, exactly. A wholly different band. So you're into Mars Volta. Are you playing music at this point in time?
Yeah, I was playing music since I was like a little kid.
Really?
Because I was playing keyboard I started on violin for like 6 months, and then I played keyboard, and I was like a crazy ADD kid, and I went through like 6 different teachers, and I finally found this one guy, Jason Ladani, who he was the first one. I think I was like 9, and I went to him, and you know, everybody was doing like canon and D and like these like classical etudes, and he was like, here's 5 notes, play them. And I played them. He was like, now play them in any order. And I played them in any order, and he was like, okay, that was like a blues solo, cool, do it again. So I did it again. I was like, oh, I can like
cool.
create my own stuff. So that was like, oh, I like playing music now, because before that it was just, I didn't care about any classical. I was listening to like Weird Al and Eminem and stuff. That didn't sound like any of that.
And you're reading sheet music right now.
Right, which I hated.
Did that help? Did that theory? Did that, hey, go out of order? Did that help your style today?
I think so. I mean, just the idea of like learning that I could do something myself. I had already written like, you know, 3-note songs and stuff.
Yeah.
But to be able to kind of like learn the colors, and you know that, you know, if you mix blue and yellow, you make green, but if you mix yellow and red, you make orange or something, and just knowing like, okay, this note versus this note, this could be this color and this is this color, and being able to kind of like figure out in real time what the combination of all the notes create at 9 years old, I think was really, you know, helped develop the palette.
Well, at 9 years old, you bring that up. What kid wants to learn theory at 9, you know? But for those who can and get the high from playing it, like, I mean, wow. Like, that's what creates a Joe Bonamassa.
Yeah.
That's what creates, you know, Taz, you know, and Gabe Stallman.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like that, but no, I was kind of tricked into learning theory, because he realized how much I hated reading, like sight reading, but I would love, so eventually, 4th through 8th grade, I played piano, and I was just like, still not really listening to any piano music, but I was having fun kind of like doing like my teacher is probably my biggest influence for that, like soloing stuff. And then I got really into AC/DC in middle school, and that was when I was like, I gotta play electric guitar, like you can't play Hell's Bells on a piano.
Yeah.
And so I would come to him with these songs and be like, I love this, and he would trick me into learning all the theory behind it, and he'd go, oh, well, you love it because it's in the key of D minor, and then but the riff is like on the 9, and there's a 9 because there's a flat 7 or something. And I go, okay, cool. And then all of a sudden I just knew all that stuff, and I could listen to a song and go, oh, okay, well, here's the intervals, here's the key or the chord changes or whatever. And then I just kind of was able to know all that stuff because I wanted to know why I liked what I was listening to.
Now, you don't have to have an answer for this, but I remember when I figured out how to play a song by hearing it for the first time. Mm-hmm. That was Born Ziva, Lawyers, Guns, and Money.
Nice.
And I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. And I just was like so happy about that fact. Mm-hmm. Was there any like a time where you could like just like, oh wow, I could pick that up?
Definitely.
That's an E minor.
Yeah. Sure. Well, I remember, again, 5-6 years old, like starting to play piano, not even with the teacher that really helped me out, but I would run outside when the ice cream truck was going by, and it would play Für Elise. Yeah. And every day I'd go outside and listen to it pass and listen to the song and run inside and try to figure it out on the piano.
No way.
And then finally I got it, and I could play like the first half of like the lead up in Für Elise.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Mr. Dangling.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So we're playing music, the door's open, you're experimenting, listening to different music. Now, what was your first venture in music?
Like playing and writing and stuff?
Playing, writing, or just playing with other people?
I guess the first band that I was in that was like serious on keyboard, so I was like 11, I went to the Blue Sky music summer camp in Blue Sky in Bethlehem. And because I had a friend that played drums, and he was like, oh, I'm in this camp where we like play songs. And so I did that from 11 to 14, and then at 15 I was like not really like a counselor, but like an assistant or something to the counselors. But that was awesome, because I would come in and basically they'd have a group and they'd say like, okay, here's a band of 5 people, like you're going to pick 3 songs, we're going to teach you the songs, you're just going to record covers of them. And then so like learned how to use a music studio, learned how to like work with others, learned how to show up on time and set up, and kind of it was just like a 2-week camp or something. And then I think I might have actually been the first person to bring in a song that I wrote, like a little 4-chord piano, like,
wow.
you know, all white keys, A minor, and so that was
piano,
like
playing on guitar.
No, I didn't even play guitar yet.
Oh wow, okay.
So this was when I was like 11 or 12 or something, and I think it was called Twilight Moon, and so that was like the first song that I wrote that turned into a full like established song.
You ever think about busting it out for Ampevene or
no? I think I remember the chords though. But and then in high school I was really desperate to jam with people, and I jammed with friends in high school, just other people that were the other kind of music nerds. Some of them, one of them is my bass player now, which I'll tell the story about that in a bit. But and then I was in a band that played like a couple bar gigs and stuff. And then my first real serious band was called Sympathy for Achilles. And
great name.
Yeah, that was, I put my iPod on shuffle and got Sympathy for the Devil and Achilles' Last Stand.
Oh, there you go.
And
okay. Taking the Grateful Dead approach.
Yeah, is that how they got it?
They like picked Grateful and Dead out of some random book.
That's awesome.
Just like opened it up and just picked something.
Childish Gambino used an online Wu-Tang rap name generator for Childish Gambino.
Genius.
Yeah,
dude, the best things are random. I gotta say that. Like, I wasn't like, cheap flights and cornbread.
Yeah,
that sticks. Like,
it does stick.
It does not stick at all.
That's
I came from like people trolling Adirondack Independence Music Festival post on a Facebook post.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Yeah. I like it.
But okay, Sympathy for Achilles. What kind of music?
So that was like Chili Peppers wannabe, like kind of funk rock. Definitely like 90s, like there was maybe even like a little 311 in there, Pearl Jam, Chili Peppers, Rage Against the Machine, like all that stuff. And our bass player is Jake Brooks from Levada, if you know them. Well, he's not bass in Levada, he's guitar and singing in Levada.
Oh, dude, I don't know him personally, but I filmed him. Great musician.
Yeah, he's amazing. So I really feel like I kind of learned how to write music between our partnership in that band.
Okay.
So he would come in with a bass line and I'd write guitar to it, or I'd come in with a guitar part and he'd write a bass line to it. And we wrote like, I don't know, 9 or 10 songs together or something. And that was the first like really serious, like, okay, this is what I have to be doing. Like, this is the calling kind of thing. I already knew it was the calling, but that was the first time putting it into practice.
Yeah.
So that was awesome. And then when that broke up, I was trying to figure out what direction I wanted to go into, and then I kind of conceived Ampevene out of a period of time.
Wow. And okay, so how did you find the guys? I know that you have a story for Mac. But I mean, being at a young age, trying to find kids interested in the same things you are, especially, something so niche as what you play, or, like, how was that hard? Did it just
impossible.
Naturally happen? Like, yeah. Or did you have to does everybody like the same music in the group? Like,
not really. I mean, I would say, so it started, I wrote kind of 3 instrumental songs.
Okay.
And then I played guitar and piano, like keys for it. My goal was to record an EP, use that to try to find a singer, and then try making like maybe a little bit more of a collaborative effort. So I got a drummer that I was in college with. I got a bass player that I went to high school with, and then I played guitar and keys. And we recorded our EP in Travis Gray's basement from Wild Adriatic.
Dude, that's funny you bring that up, because I just took photos of that house about 2 months ago.
Oh, really?
To get it ready to sell.
Oh, cool.
And I saw the basement studio.
Yeah.
I walked down the stairs. It's like right on the right. Beautiful wood panel.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Yeah, no fucking way.
So that was like the first thing. And I was kind of just thinking like, okay, I'll record like an EP, get a singer to add to it, and then I'll record another EP. And the drummer at the time, who was our first of like 7 drummers, was like, like, how dare you put me through learning all these songs and not, like, booking a show for him? And I was like, okay, I'll find a show. And the bass player didn't want to do it. So we've had probably close to, like, 15 members. I don't need to walk through everything. But so I ended up getting a bass player that I went to school with and getting a keyboardist on Craigslist. And then that keyboardist just kind of ghosted us after the third gig. I just stopped hearing from him. And so we found Ava, who's been with us since our fourth show, and she's just a monster. She's so good at playing.
I want to say, like, I mean, I don't have very much experience in playing music, but dude, like, sometimes I'll listen to bands like, could I play that? Like, and like I've done it where it's like, Eddie in the Water, like two of their songs, it's like, because I could like hear, like, like as I was telling you, I was like, dude, I could fucking play that. And then like, I listened to your guys' music, I was like, damn, this is so fucking
I can't even
gnarly.
play half of what we do.
This is like Megadeth level in intensity of like so much changes and structure and but very no structure, and also it's a composition what you guys do. It's for you guys to do that. I mean, that is fucking talent in itself, man. Like,
thank you.
There's a reason why you guys are, like I said, unique in the sense that you guys are like, dude, like you got this super high level of originality that it's a recipe for success, dude.
Thank you. Great. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't know. There's, like I said, like I tell this to Glass Pony too. I'm like, you guys aren't a jam band. Like, you guys are getting booked at jam band slots. You're not a jam band. Like, you're a fucking rock band who fucking jams. Yeah. You guys are a progressive rock band who fucking jams.
Jeff from Glass Pony did that Blue Sky band camp with me when we were in middle school.
I was going to ask you if you saw any other musicians you know today, and like, obviously I know Tom Perosi does a lot of work there.
Yeah.
And like, I think Brian Mangini too. I don't know.
I didn't know Brian well from that. It was Scott Apicelli.
Okay.
He played drums for Hair of the Dog.
Oh, nice.
He was like the head of the camp. Rob Cohen worked there. Who I don't know what he does now. He was teaching at Schenectady. He was one of the like adjunct guitar professors there. They're the only ones that I can really remember, I think. Tom I know really well, but not through Blue Sky.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. You know Jeff though.
Yeah, awesome, it was dude. Like we ended up running into each other like years later, and we're like, oh, we did a thing together.
That's awesome.
And now we're in the same scene, kind of.
I wish I went to a summer camp like that. I went to your typical summer camp where you had to swim across the pool just so you go in the deep end. Yep. You even get to fucking do that. And man, dude, we got that right here in the Capital Region. Blue Sky, a lot of history here in Albany. A lot of great bands have come out of there, and a lot of great teachers there.
I give a shout out to I teach guitar lessons at Modern Day Music too, and it has the same type of program. I don't know if it's a summer camp. They do it on the weekends, so that's year round. So if you got any kids that are looking for like jumping into a rock band, it's a good program. And
get your kids in summer camps. Yeah. Enjoy your summer. You
and
know,
you can get guitar
they're not
lessons
in school, but you can put them somewhere, and they might as well have fun while they're doing it instead of playing Foursquare. So,
which is also great.
Which is also great, yeah. But awesome, dude. And that's it's just like I said, like bringing in other influences from the other guys. Like, what is it? I'm not gonna ask you your typical question, like what's your songwriting process, but you know, how are you approaching recording an album?
Well, I do want to give a shout out to Mac because we mentioned him. So he was in a band called Funeral After Party in high school.
Okay.
That was the best high school metal band. Like, they were incredible. They were kind of like, they had like some Black Dahlia Murder in them. They also had like some Megadeth, like a little Mastodon maybe. The riffs were unbelievable.
Dude, Mastodon, another comparable band.
I love Mastodon,
dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I took a lesson from Brent Hines once too.
No way, dude.
Yeah.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah.
But you were saying about Mac?
Oh, but just so Mac was just, it was funny because in high school, I was really in love with kind of like the beauty of lush songwriting. I'm a huge Radiohead fan, and you know, I was really into layers and kind of like the David Gilmour, like hold one note and let it ring out forever. And Mac was always kind of like, if you can't play fast, you're a nerd, and like really worked on his technical ability. And so when we needed a bass player after a previous bass player left, Mac offered, and I can write these lines that are, you know, in odd time signatures or, you know, weird, even weirder rhythmic stuff like that I can't even talk about. I mean, he learns it in 30 seconds, and he's ready to play. And if I ask for him to play a solo, he can shred on the bass like, like no other. I mean, it's like, I got to get him a fretless so he can sound like Jocko. But he's like, he is one of the most incredible technicians that I know. So having him in and being able to have the freedom to write any riff that I want and give it to him. And if it's a hard riff, maybe it takes him like 6 minutes to learn or something. And that's like, he's got it, which is very cool to be able to.
Not everybody can do that.
Nobody can. Awesome. That's why we need Mac. It's incredible what he can do.
Now bringing it full circle to Brian.
Yeah.
The drums.
So he's actually not playing with us anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we it just didn't seem like it was working out with like the touring stuff, and we still have him. He's my roommate. But so we've been working with Daryl, who is the guy on our last album release from 2017, and we're actually working with Joe from Levada also, who I teach with at my music school.
Oh no way! He teaches too.
Yeah.
Oh sick. Okay.
And so both of them are kind of hired guns. We're still looking for somebody a little bit more permanent because we're just kind of picking between the two of them for whatever gigs pop up. Daryl's going to play with us on Friday. Awesome. But both of them are just monsters. They're incredible. Daryl I found through word of mouth years ago, and Joe I think for like the mid-20s age group is like, he's hired by everybody. He's just like the guy for every band in the DIY scene. He plays drums for. Yeah, he's
awesome, dude.
And they're both really eager to just play all the crazy stuff that I throw at them, and
cool.
It's really cool.
Nice, dude. Well, that's awesome. I mean, and you guys are gonna be doing. You guys have. I'm not gonna say anything, but is there anything you want to share with what's coming up with what you guys are trying to do this summer, leading into the end of 2022?
Whatever gigs that Loose Leaf can book for us, we want to play. We're kind of now getting our feet back in the game. I think we've got like 7 or 8 gigs planned that are just kind of scattered.
Yeah.
I can't even remember all of them off the top of my head. But we might have a really cool one in October that hasn't been confirmed yet. But if it happens, that'll be very exciting. I'll tell you when this is over.
Definitely keep. I mean, if you don't already, just make sure. Follow everything Ampevene, stay in touch with what they're doing, because you guys got a lot. Just from the previous conversation before the podcast, I'm excited, and you should be too.
I will say, actually, so not show related, but we're in the studio right now, and I'm working to finish up a song. I don't know when it'll be done. I've been working on it for a very long time, but it's like, it'll be out as soon as it's finished. And I think it's a very cool representation of what we're going towards now.
Yeah.
We're playing the song live, but it's in the studio. I've probably got like 140 tracks built on it, and it's like a pop song. It's like a 5.5 minute. It's pretty short for us, so it's more like it's more stacked than long. But actually, once that's out, I think we'll put out a Kickstarter with it and see if we can fund the rest of the album, because we've got a bunch of stuff done, but we want to I want to just get this out and show people like what we're really trying to sound like with good quality recordings and stuff, because we haven't really done that yet.
That's important. I mean, I'm just going to bring this into a whole different industry, but ever since I decided I'm not going to make my whole life about work, I started playing video games a little bit. One of my biggest pet peeves is when a developer releases a game before it's ready and they fix it after the release.
Yeah.
No. Take the time. It's going to take a little more money. It's going to take a little more effort. But the pre-planning is so important, and just execution and delivering a product that's good on day one. That's what you want to do, and that's what you used to do before the internet.
Yeah.
I don't mean to say the internet, but
no, you get used to tweeting little snippets of stuff, and you can't.
Yeah, you can't. There's no instinct.
I like the Beyonce way of just dropping a full album out of nowhere, but
that's good. Taylor Swift does the same thing, and for us, we're working on a couple projects. There's nothing wrong. Put out a trailer, put out whatever you got to do, but. You got to build a little hype. Don't bite from the hand that feeds.
Yeah.
And people do that a lot in the music industry. It drives me nuts. And just waiting it out and putting out a perfect product, and perfect could be whatever. You know, it just don't rush your masterpiece. Don't rush your life's work, because that's what. And now admits to you guys, that's what a documentary is for me. Like, I've been working on this Greg Bell documentary for like 2.5 years now. I haven't worked on
a man that deserves a documentary.
Yeah, and like, don't rush it either. No one's waiting for it if you don't tell them that it's there.
Yeah.
You know? It's
yeah,
really
exactly.
important.
So now you guys are going to be waiting for it, but we'll build the hype.
That's right.
But I've been, it's kind of Ship of Theseus style, because I recorded the skeleton of it literally back in like 2017. And then worked a little bit through 2018, but then that's when we were mixing the live album to put out, and then took 2 years off because of COVID. And then I went back and I re-recorded everything. Like, I erased the drums, re-recorded that, erased the guitar, re-recorded that. So now it's like a whole different thing. And like I said, it's like 140 tracks. There's like 1 million keyboard sounds and 1,000 guitar. Like, exactly, yeah. That's actually all the song is.
Nice, dude.
But I'm really excited to put that out. I think it's a really good accumulation of all my direct biggest influences. I think
that's cool.
Like, really stacked in a cool way. I'm proud of it.
Now you guys are buddies with Consider the Source.
Yeah.
What is it like performing alongside them? / what have you learned from them? Because to me, you guys are like in your own league. Mm-hmm. Together.
Yeah.
Like, along with other bands, I don't know.
I'd put La Special in there too, as far as the smaller bands.
They're very progressive too.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. What do you like? Like, I guess, have they, like, working with like a Jeff Mann or Ferrera, man?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What is, like, have they give you guys any advice? Have you know, what do you see in them that you like, or, you know, just, I guess. Yeah, what have you learned from other bands in your genre that you haven't learned, that wouldn't be available for like going to a Fish show or you know, or whatever?
I mean, I feel like I learn something every show that I go to.
Cool,
whether it's what to do or what not to do. I'm always studying like I'm to a fault analyzing all the theory of everything that I ever hear from everything.
Yeah.
I mean, I've taken lessons from Gabe from Consider the Source, and he taught me a couple things that were really helpful, just about like technique stuff. I don't know if I need to get too into that, but you know, when you're going for speed, using three notes per string instead of 2 notes like you would do for blues. He taught me to think of modes as intervals rather than modes. So I don't know if you ever think about like mode stuff when you're noodling, but I'm like
a 12 bar blues guy or 10 whatever.
Well, it's like if you're thinking of if you want to play like a Grateful Dead thing, play a major scale but flat the 7th. Okay. And rather than even thinking of it as like that's really a Mixolydian scale, rather than thinking of it as Mixolydian, you can think here's a major scale passage. I'm going to drop the 7th and then I'll go back to the major scale passage or something. Or you can throw in playing a minor scale and saying, okay, I'll flat the 2 for Phrygian, I'll sharp the 6 for Dorian, or like little things like that. And using those more as ornaments, because a lot of jazz people will pick a mode and stick with it. But people like Miles Davis and like stuff started coming out in the 50s, or I guess the 60s. Yeah. Where there would be like a tonal center and then you could go out of it.
Okay.
And I think Gabe kind of planted the seed for me to understand that a lot better. Oops. Sorry.
Oh, no biggie.
I just got to make sure that I can leave on time, but we're good.
Yeah.
No, I got 20 more minutes. So he really helped me kind of see it as, rather than like a definition of you're in this scale, you have to play in this scale. Everything that you play is a paint by numbers, and you can think, if you're in minor, you've got a whole list of minor scales that you can choose from. If you're in major, you've got a whole list of major scales that you can choose from, and you can stick in that one center and kind of say like, okay, I'm going to borrow from this one. Now I'm going to borrow from that. You can use like 5 scales in one phrase or something. So Gabe helped me like notice that a lot. In just like one lesson, he kind of like described that in a way that was palatable for me, and that changed how I play completely for sure.
Did it feel good to be able to talk to a musician who's been through it the past 10 years, kind of being in the same place?
Sorry for the music nerding.
No, we need the nerding. Yeah, but like, did it feel good to at least talk to somebody in like, I guess your language? Like, if I'm like talking about somebody like, oh yeah, 4K, 60 frames.
Yeah.
You know, like.
Well, he's funny because he really teaches like a teacher.
Oh,
he's
yes.
not.
Okay.
I have had lessons from people too that are like, the guy that I took lessons from over COVID too. You know, it was like hanging out with a friend and just kind of like, oh, by the way, have you tried this thing? And Gabe was really funny because he was like, let's sit down, let's write a chart. This is how we're gonna like. He was really like kind of school about it. Yeah, he really. And it was funny because then I took another lesson from him like 2 years later, and he was like, let's pick up where we left off. Like he knew exactly what we had talked about 2 years before.
What
and
a
like,
guy.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw those guys, I was under the influence in ways you don't even want to know. Opening up for Twiddle, and this is at the point in my life.
They were opening for Twiddle?
Opening for Twiddle.
That's a funny combo.
2013
Wow.
Higher Ground show. And we're like taking the ferry across from, there's a whole crazy fucking story to this. I will not talk about this, but like my time seeing them that night, I basically was like, I wish I saw this band before I saw other jam bands, because
Consider the Source.
Yeah, only because like up until like 2012, I was that guy who was like, listen, I only listen to thrash metal, Led Zeppelin, Stevie Ray Vaughan. That's it.
That's nice.
Megadeth, Big Four. That's it. Like that, nothing. And like I went to a Modown, didn't enjoy it. Like sat during each Mo set, like ended up like sitting in my car, blaring Ride the Lightning,
nice.
Like, drinking my ass off in the festival parking lot.
That's hilarious.
And I just like not about it. But like when I saw them, I was like, this guy plays like a metal guitarist.
Yeah.
And all the jam band is, I made it in my head. Like all the jam band is Kirk Hammett taking the solo from Disposable Heroes and spreading it out.
Yeah.
And not sticking to the structure. And once I got that into my mind, and it's also funny because I bring this up now because I had this revelation yesterday. I spend more time photographing the guitarist in a band than I do any other person. And I think that's because, I don't know, I just have an attachment to that instrument. And I don't know, whenever I'm in the pit for fish, it's like, I want to be photographing that guy because, whatever, I love him. It's just great.
Well, I'm glad that you can realize that because I feel like a lot of people don't get that. Because most people just think, oh, jam band, it sounds like Grateful Dead.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you ever listen to math rock, any stuff like that.
No, but I've always wanted to start a band called Al Gore Rhythm.
I like that.
But it's already awesome. A t-shirt, so I can't do that.
Well, so just math rock kind of was bastardized in the same way that jam bands were, in the sense where jam bands, I mean, Santana was a jam band, and Jimi Hendrix and Pink Floyd and Zeppelin and all these bands, and over the last 40 years, jam band turned into Grateful Dead, and like totally cut out all those, I mean, Chili Peppers are a jam band, Mars Volta's a jam band, who else is, Ween is a jam band, like stuff like that.
And they're not.
Well, but they're bands that jam. They're bands that jam. Noodle.
Exactly.
Yeah. But so math rock's kind of the same way, where it used to mean bands that have almost like progressive rock, but in like a 3.5 minute format. It was like pop progressive, like all weird time signatures, jagged but a little bit more palatable. That was math rock. And now it just means bands that tap and sound sparkly. Yeah. And it's like now Chan is a math rock band, and Covet and like all these bands that like really aren't that mathy. They're just kind of dancey and tap, and so they're called math rock. And it's like has left math rock behind of like what was. I'm forgetting the like one of the original big ones, but like Hella doesn't sound anything like that, but they're a really cool math rock band, and that genre doesn't exist anymore because when people think math rock, they want to go towards like Chan or something.
Exactly.
Which is I don't know. I wonder what other genres have turned into that stuff, but it's annoying.
Funny we're talking about this because the thing is, I've always had it in my mind also like jam bands are rock and roll. Like that's what rock and roll is today, and because they're, I don't know, I'm not going to talk bad about any bands, but there came a time where I was like, you know what they're playing on 103.5, 103.9, and all main, new era rock stations, I just cannot relate to, and it just sounds like it's produced for that. And and when you bring up a Santana, when you bring out just any freaking band, I mean, Jeff Beck.
Yeah.
That guy is a jam band. He would be
Yeah.
labeled as a jam band today. You listen to anything he plays. And
he's, I mean, he's one of the greatest ever.
Greatest
He's nuts.
ever. Like, literally, ever. It just... Yeah, I really hope we can turn a leaf here in today's age because, I mean, thank God for bands like Goose. I don't think people realize how important that band is because not only were they able to break through a shell in their own scene, which is the jam band scene, but they're a fucking rock band that is relating to the mainstream culture, and we haven't had that happen in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's ridiculous. I remember
crazy.
when they were small and people were talking about them, and I'm not a huge jam band person, so I never went out to see them. And to see them go in like 2 years to like the huge places,
selling out Radio City Music Hall this weekend.
It's insane.
Like,
what else was I gonna say? Now I can't remember. Oh, well, do you know the band Black Midi?
Never heard of it.
They're the coolest band around right now. They're kind of
Okay.
doing what we're doing, and they beat us to it. But they are like, I had their first album that a friend of mine showed them to me, and my first thought was like noise rock Talking Heads. And then they just went full wacky prog for their next album, and it's just like, there's like a little Primus in there, there's a little Mars Volta, there's still Talking Heads, it's really noisy and punk. But I saw them live at, maybe it was the Sinclair in Boston.
Boston, yeah.
I went with Boney. Or I met Boney
That's
there.
the first thing I thought of.
Yeah.
That's
He
where
was
he
shooting that
lived. He
show.
was right under the stage.
And but live they go off and they jam, but it's noise jams. It's just like noodling off on the song, or they'll put a cover in the middle of, they'll have this really weird out there incredibly unpalatable song, and then they'll go into Walk This Way by Aerosmith and then go back into this like Dillinger breakdown or something, just to like, because it's funny.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing that jam bands do, but nobody would ever call them a jam band. They should be a jam. It's the same. It's the same.
Yeah.
It's the same deal. It's really funny.
We were getting towards the end of the podcast. Before we get to our last segment, very short segment, we talk about what we've been watching and listening. If you play video games, we've been playing. We just like to talk about what we've been consuming to maybe hopefully influence some people. I just want to get to some comments here. Again, thank you for everybody for tuning in. I remember American Idiot.
That's funny.
When you brought that up, I can remember every Jesus Suburbia, the whole like 5-verse.
Oh,
like,
Jesus of
thing,
Suburbia
dude,
changed my life. Yeah,
dude,
that album
was
changed
awesome.
my life. Yeah, that album was great. I don't care what anybody says. I'll defend that album forever.
That album literally makes me want to like dedicate like time in the podcast to like talk about an album because that had an impact.
Oh, I
on
could talk
anybody
about
who
that.
was like
Yeah.
in middle school in 2004. Shout out Mars Volta. Ride the Lightning is the best Metallica album.
I'm gonna say Master of Puppets is the best Metallica.
I was gonna
album.
say, yeah, Master of Puppets, Kill 'Em All. Come on, Dave Mustaine. Shout out Loose Leaf Talent Agency, and Gabe, what is your favorite Ampevene song?
My favorite Ampevene song, it changes. My favorite one to play is called Teratomic Enhancement. The song that we're working on in the studio right now is called The Chemistrists. And listening to that, I've really been enjoying listening to that because it's really, I only try to write music that I want to listen to. No offense to anybody that listens to our music, but I really don't care about who likes it or not. I'm just trying to write a song that I'm going to want to lay back and listen to.
More people should have
And
that.
yeah. But I think of it as kind of like a field of dreams. If you build it, they'll come.
Yeah.
If I know that I really like it, then other people are going to like it. I don't need to worry about who's ever out there. So The Chemistrists I'm very proud of. And I think palette-wise, I think that other people will probably think it's our best song, which I wouldn't agree with that, but I think that that's the song that maybe the radio would play as like a single or something. So
Yeah.
I want to hype that enough up for people to want to listen to it when it comes out, but it could be 6 months. I have no idea. But
That's why it's important. Stay tuned. Make sure to follow, subscribe, like, whatever platform these guys are on. You guys are on everything.
Yeah. We don't really post on Twitter. We should, but
Dude, I don't. Like, I have an automated thing whenever I write articles, I'll just post. And if I write it at a weird time, like...
We've probably got like 17 Twitter followers or something.
It's just... It's not the market for it. It's okay. And when you're doing so much marketing in general, and you got to play music, you got to cut one or the two things out. Like personally, I don't use Snapchat. I haven't used Snapchat since 2014. TikTok, should get on the train. I'm not on the train. But yeah, don't spread yourself thin. Twitter,
Facebook and Instagram would be
Twitter's
the place
too
to follow.
nice.
And also seeing us live. We're gonna play those songs on Friday. And
Lark Hall.
Lark Hall.
Get your tickets.
Yeah,
Let's still do
doors at 7. We play at 8. Vaporize is gonna go on after us, but we're gonna play right at 8 sharp. We'll play hour to an hour and a half. I don't know exactly what the plan is, but we're hiring a saxophonist too, which I didn't mention. We got Adam Siegel on saxophone, and he's
Same
incredible.
guy from Harley's Encore?
Did he play with? No, that was Jeff, who's also played with us. Yeah,
Yeah.
and Jeff is amazing too, but his
cool.
schedule's not as free.
Makes sense. Yeah.
But Adam is incredible. I've known him for years.
Awesome.
Both of them together, I would say, are the two best saxophonists around.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
No way. Yeah.
They're both amazing.
Go check out the show. There's a lot of great places here on Lark Street that you can go before the show. Food-wise, support local, support Ampevene. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
And just to wrap it up, to get you out of here, what have you been consuming? What have you been watching, listening? If you play video games, what have you been
I don't play video games. What have I been watching? Barry. I just finished season 3 of Barry. That show's
Okay.
awesome. Do you know it?
No, I don't watch TV.
It's
That sucks, dude. I wish, and I'm not trying to be ignorant. I just
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
have time.
it's the reverse Breaking Bad. It's Bill Hader's a hitman, and then he falls in love with acting,
Okay.
and so it's him it's just the opposite story of Breaking Bad, but it's like a dark comedy. It's really good. Speaking of dark, there's a show called Dark. It's a German time travel sci-fi.
No way.
And if you're into sci-fi or time travel, it's the coolest sci-fi I've ever watched. I just watched the new Jackass last night. That was good.
Dude, that is cool. I'm happy you bring that up. Been feeling very nostalgic about Jackass, Bam Margera, all of that.
Yeah.
And dude, I hope you get well, Bam. I fucking love you, just like everybody else. We're all rooting for you.
Yeah, I love Steve-O's podcast too.
Steve-O's Wild Ride podcast,
Yeah.
dude, that's so good. And the fact that him and Mike Tyson are such good friends is just funny. Dude.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
What was the last one? Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Okay.
That's if anybody likes weird art movies, A24.
A24, man.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's one of their newest movies, and it was
Great film company.
Yeah, it was the same guys that did Swiss Army Man, which is one of my favorite movies.
I'm almost sure they actually purchased a building. They're going to be doing work out of the Catskills
Really?
pretty soon. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
Maybe, see if you can work on it.
Dude, we got Gilded Age in here, in Troy. Albany's popping, dude.
Yeah.
It's popping.
That's really cool. I wonder what they're doing. But that movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once, the visuals of that movie, I think, are how my brain functions.
1 second, guys. Gabe, do you want to tell everybody where you can find your music?
Yes. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, Apple iTunes. What else? Spotify, iTunes, probably wherever you can stream. You can find us on YouTube. We've got some live videos on YouTube that are pretty old at this point. I don't know where he's going. I'm not very good at speaking directly to a camera. But you can follow us. Jesus, the whole world's falling apart.
Sorry about that, everybody.
Anyway, he's back.
I'm back.
In
In the saddle again.
Yeah.
Just 1 second, Robin. So, yes. Thank you so much for coming
You're
on,
welcome.
Greg. Gabe, as all of you know, you can watch and listen to the Cheap Flights and Cornbread podcast on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook. Gabe, I wish you nothing but success.
You said picture him in your underwear. I don't know what you look like, Shane.
So we got Shane here. Shane is one of our biggest supporters at Mirth Films. Actually, he is a writer on just for some of our blog content for music festival
Oh, awesome.
coverage. And great guy. Shane, try to make it out to a show. maybe we'll make it up to Vermont sometime. And
Yeah.
I know there's a huge market up there.
Lots of loose leaf stuff going on up there.
Yeah, Loose Leaf. Shout out Emily Vanderweel. Everybody at Loose Leaf Agency. They do a lot of great work for bands. And just to kind of wrap things up, not really a consumer of TV as much as I'd like to watch. I've been spending a lot of time creating. It's summer season, a lot of music festivals, a lot of shows going on. But I have been listening to just a lot of different stuff. One band that I want to bring up that I haven't really listened to a lot, but now I'm kind of getting into two actually: Jethro Tull, Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Our keyboardist loves Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Great
She's
keyboardist,
obsessed, yeah.
great keyboardist, and then just been indulging a little bit in video games whenever I can. But again, thank you everybody who came out to the Listen Up Awards that took place last week at Lark Hall. It was our biggest turnout for any event that we've had, and congrats to all the winners. Congrats to all the nominees. Again, we will see you at Alive at 5 tomorrow with Lita Ford and Candy Ambulance. And just thank you again for tuning in each and every single week. Please go to mirth-films.com for all the latest live music coverage, entertainment news, and everything else revolving, supporting local music. Gabe, again, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you,
I'm
man.
Frankie Cavone. You've been watching the Cheap Flights and Cornbread podcast here live. We will see you next week. Have a good one, everybody. It's so weird doing this.
Oh my God, you gotta help me with my business with
I would
that.
love to help you.
So freaking cool. I was listening to you guys outside.
Thank you, Robin.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yo, I'm telling you, we're gonna partner.
I cannot wait.
We're gonna partner because I have I'm a real estate agent. I'm so sorry.
No worries.
But